Hello, this is Sach with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video I'm going to show you how to make my version of the emoji hat, or as some people call it, the smiley hat with heart eyes. I'm going to show you how to make the hat and then the heart eyes and of course the happy little smile. Now this is a free pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link right down there in the notes underneath the video so you can go and get your stitch counts and such. Now the way this pattern is set up is it has 3 sizes. This is the adult size, and it will fit about a 20 to 21 inch head. Remember, yarn is very stretchy. This one is made in the youth size, and it will fit about an 18 to 19 inch head. For today's demonstration, we're going to be making the child size, and it'll fit about a 16 to 17 inch head. Now remember, if you have a smaller head, make it in a smaller size. If you got a big head, make it in the bigger size. It's really simple to stitch up. The stitches are basically double crochets and some double crochet increases, finished off with some single crochets for the hat. The heart is basically stitched with triples, doubles, and chains. So they're both relatively easy. Now this is not a beginner pattern, but it is a relatively easy pattern. What you're going to need to make one of these hats is you're going to need some yarn that is a chunky number 5. There we go. And this hat here is stitched in the Charisma by Loops and Thread, chunky number 5. And the color is just called yellow. It's a nice bright yellow. And the hearts are also stitched in the red, same brand, just using the red. And then we do the trim in black and the smile, and also with the same yarn. Now, if you don't have chunky number 5 yarn, if you'll notice, this one is stitched using 2 strands of worsted weight number 4. And this is the reflective yarn from Hobby Lobby. And that works great too, especially if you're going to use this for Halloween and your hat, you want it to be reflective, or you just want to jog in the morning, at night, or ride your bike and want to be seen. Making it out of reflective yarn is a lot of fun. Of course, you don't have to use the reflective yarn. You can use any yellow, any black, and any red and a worsted weight number 4. You just need to remember that you're going to need to use 2 strands in order for it to be chunky like this one. We're going to be stitching today with our J hook. And the J hook is a 6mm hook. It's called J10 6mm. You're also going to need a pair of scissors for clipping those yarns. And you're going to need a needle with a nice big eye in it, since we're using chunky yarns. All right, go gather up your supplies and we'll get started. Like I said, this is the adult size, and this other one is the youth size. For today's demonstration, I'm going to be showing you by making the child size, which is a 16 to 17 inch head. And then I'll give you instructions on how to make it bigger. We're going to begin first by making our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 4 chains. We're going to begin stitching in the 4th chain from the hook. Our first 3 chains count as our first double crochet. We're going to stitch 9 double crochets in this 4th chain from the hook. Yarn over, go in the chain, and pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2 loops. That's our double crochet. So now we have our chain 3 and 1 double crochet, and we need to stitch 8 more so that we have a total of 10 double crochets. We are beginning our work at the top or crown of the hat, and then we'll work our way down. Oops, there we go. Let me see how many I have. Here's my chain 3 that counted as my first double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need 2 more. Now don't panic if you end up with a hole in the top of your hat. We'll use our beginning piece of yarn to come back and close that if it's needed. Alright, here's my 10th double crochet. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch. So I'm going to pull a loop through, and that loop that I pulled through, I'm going to pull it through the loop that's already on my hook, and then I'm going to chain 3. So this is how your first row should look. 10 double crochets, join with the slip stitch, and chain 3. Alright, let's stitch row 2. For row 2, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, because our chain 3 does count as a double crochet. And then we're going to place 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So we have 10 double crochets for row 1. For row 2, we're going to have 20. So here's my chain 3. I'm going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as my chain 3, and then I'm going to place 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around. Like I said, we are increasing from 10 double crochets to 20. When we get back around, we'll join to the top of our chain 3 just like we did for row 1. So just to repeat, 2 double crochets in each stitch around for 20 double crochets, join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. I have stitched 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets around, so now I have 20 double crochets. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. And that's how row 2 should look. All right, let's do row 3. For row 3, again, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. And we're going to place 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. Then we're only going to place 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So we have 2 in the first and 1 in the next. And this is the way row 3 will work. We'll stitch 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So we're stitching 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around, and this is going to take us up from 20 double crochets to 30. This is how we're increasing on the top of the hat. So 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch. 2 and 1 all the way around, 2 double crochets, and then 1 double crochet. And we'll do this all the way around our hat, and again we'll join in the top of our chain 3 and then chain 3. So just to repeat, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in the next. 2 and 1, 2 and 1 all the way around, and then we join to the top of our chain 3 and chain 3. If you're making the child size, you're not going to do any more increase rows. If you're making the youth size, you're going to do another increase row. And the way that one will work is similar to how we did the last one. You'll do 2 double crochets, only you'll have 2 single double crochets between your 2 double crochets together. You'll do a row like that. If you're making the adult size, you'll need to do an additional row where you'll have 3 double crochets together and then the double crochet in between. I'm going to show you a little demonstration how to do that before we finish this one. Okay, so if I was going to make the next size up, which is the youth size, I would go ahead and double crochet in the same stitch as my chain 3, and then I would place 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, and then I would put 2 double crochets together in the same stitch, and then I would place 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and I would do this all the way around and join to the top of the chain 3 if I was doing the youth size. Now if I was doing the adult size, I would do this row, and then I would do another row where I did the 2 double crochets together, only I would stitch 3 individual double crochets and then do the 2 together. In other words, if I was on the next row when I was doing the adult size, I would do 2 double crochets together, and then I would do 3, 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and then do the 2 double crochets together. That's because you're going to have 1 row of increase for the 1 more row of increase for the youth size and 2 more rows of increase for the adult size. If you want to know the exact counts, you can go, like I said, to that link underneath the video and get those stitch counts. Since we're doing the child size, we'll be skipping ahead to row 6, because just to repeat, for the youth size, you're going to have a 4th row of increase where you do 2 together and 2 individual ones between. For the adult size, you'll have that 4th row of 2 together and 2 individual ones in between, and then you'll do a 5th row of 2 double crochets together with 3 individual double crochets in between. And again, click on that link underneath and it will take you to the blog where it has all the stitch counts for you. Just to repeat, since I'm doing the child size, I'm going to skip ahead to row 6, and row 6 is just 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. We've done all the increasing that we're going to do for the child's size. I have completed 1 row of 1 double crochet in each stitch around, joined to the top of my chain 3 and chained 3. Now for the smallest size, you're going to have 3 more rows of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around for a total of 4 rows. For the medium size, you're going to stitch 4 more rows so that you'll have a total of 5 rows of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. For the largest size, the adult size, you're going to have 5 additional rows for a total of 6 rows of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Now keep in mind, some people may like a longer hat or a shorter hat, and you can add or subtract rows as needed for the size that you're making. And again, if you want those exact sizes for the exact rows, you can click on that link underneath the video and you can take a peek at that and get those. So for the smallest size hat, which is the child size, I'm going to stitch 3 more rows of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around and then join to the top of the chain 3. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch those 3 additional rows of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. So now my hat is ready for the rows of single crochet that form the edge or trim of the hat. So what we're going to do is, instead of chaining 3 at the end of that last row, we're just going to chain 1. All the hats are finished off the same. Each size has 2 rows of single crochet and then 1 row of single crochet in the black. And that just makes a nice little trim. To stitch a single crochet, you just put your hook through, pull a loop up, yarn over, and go through both loops. So we'll do this all the way around the trim of the hat, 1 single crochet in each of the double crochets around. We'll join to that first single crochet and then we'll chain 1. And this is going to give us a nice, neat trim. So I stitched that first row of single crochet. I'm going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat 1 single crochet in each single crochet around. So we'll have 2 rows of yellow single crochet. We'll do this all the way around the edge of the hat we'll join to that first single crochet, and then we're going to change to the black yarn. I finished my second row of single crochets. I'm going to cut off my yarn, and I'm going to join in my black. Now I'm all out of my chunky black yarn, so I'm using 2 strands of worsted weight together. So I'm just going to join those in, snug that down, snug that one down, and hold it. Chain 1, and then I'm going to place 1 single crochet in each single crochet around, just like we did with the yellow, only with the black. And this makes a nice trim. I stitched the single crochet row in black all the way around. I joined to that first single crochet and I tied off to the back. Now I'm going to need to take a couple minutes and weave these ends in, but before we do that, I'm going to show you how the hat looks. This, of course, is the size small. We've got the 2 rows of single crochet in yellow and the row in black. Here's our medium size hat, and of course our large. So they're all done similar. We just increased 2 more rows on the large and only 1 more row on the medium. And again, go to that blog that's underneath the video and you'll be able to find all those stitch counts and row counts that's needed for the different sizes. So the last thing that we need to do is make our little heart eyes and add a nice smile. I've already made one of the hearts, and I'm going to show you how we do that. We're going to begin with a slip knot, and I want you to make sure you leave yourself a little bit of yarn because we're going to need to close the hole up in the center of the heart. So here's our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 4 chains. Now we're going to stitch 3 triple crochets in this 4th chain from the hook. And the way you stitch a triple is you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook 2 times. You're going to go in that chain and pull up a loop. There'll be 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, yarn over, and go through the third 2. And we're going to do this 2 more times. Okay, now we're going to do it again. Alright, so we have a chain 3 and 3 triple crochets. Now we're going to stitch 2. Now we're going to stitch 3 double crochets in this same chain 4 space. Do that over again. We have a chain 3 and 3 triple crochets. Now we're going to stitch 3 double crochets in that same chain that we're working in. So yarn over, go in that same hole or same chain. There's 1, 2, 3. And you can see it looks like almost like half a heart. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to stitch another triple. So we're going to go 2 wraps over our hook, go in that same hole, and we'll stitch that triple. Okay, so now we've formed the point of our heart. We're going to chain 1, and now we're going to work in reverse what we did here. We're going to stitch 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and you can see here's the point of the heart, and there's one side, and now we're going to stitch 3 triple crochets. So 2 wraps over your hook, go in that hole, pull up a loop, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, yarn over, and go through the third 2. And we'll do this 2 more times. Okay, need to do it one more time. All right, we're going to end with a chain 3. And now we're going to slip stitch right in that same hole. There we go. And then we're going to tie off. Now leave yourself a little bit of yarn so we can sew it on, 12 to 18 inches. All right, and go ahead and pull that through because that's where we tied off. And there's your heart. But now we have this little hole in the center, and that's why I asked you to begin with a little bit of yarn. We're going to turn it to the back. There we go. Grab my needle. Thread that onto your needle. And we're going to go around these stitches we did in the center there. My needle's just a little bit blunt because I've got a really big eye because I'm using chunky yarn, so you may have to work with it just a little bit to get it to go around there. And we're going to just gently pull on that. Get in there. And then we're just gently pull on that. There we go. Close up that hole, and then we'll go forward and go back the other direction just so it stays closed. And then you can turn and go back the other way. Okay, and don't worry if it's a little bit messy on, that's the back side. We're going to clip that. We're going to turn it over, and there's our heart. So now we have 2 hearts to put on our hat. I've already sewed the one heart on, and I'm going to show you how to sew the other one on. And the placement of the hearts, of course, is up to you. And I wanted them a little bit close so it can be a little bit silly, because emojis are silly. And what I do is I go right down. I want to make sure they're even. Line them up on those circles, those rounds. And I start by just going right down in the center of the hat. And this just helps it stay put. And I'll make a couple of stitches going right down in the center. And then I can look at the other one, make sure it's even. Is that where I want it? I like it. Okay. And then I'll go back under the hat and just come up at the point. Okay. And by stitching that center, it's going to keep it on the hat for us. Okay. And then I'm just going to follow these outside stitches around. those, they look like they're the chains on the outside. I always like to call them little braids because that's what they look like. And I'll just stitch around those. And your when you tie off your heart, make sure you give yourself about, 18 to 20 inches so that you have plenty of yarn to sew your little hearts on with. Because you want them to stay put, especially if this is for a child. You don't want them pulling on those strings, and you want it to make it through the wash as much as possible. Alright, so you just follow around the edge of your heart, and you can do it until your yarn's all gone, until you're comfortable that those little hearts are going to stay put. And then I just go to the back and weave that in until, like I said, you are comfortable it's going to stay put. Now I still need to weave these ends in, so pretend like you didn't see those. And there's the little hearts on the little hat. The last thing we need to add, of course, is the smile. And it's just made by making stitches in a little bit of a curve. And again, I'm using 2 strands of my black yarn. Alright, need my needle off my red, put it on my black. Okay, now what I do is I find where I want to put it, and I want to start it on the row that's right between the last row of double crochet and the first row of single. And I'll go inside there. There we go. And I'll just make that first stitch, as that's going to help me center my hearts and my mouth. And then I'll just make a couple of curves like this. And then I'll do the same thing, trying to make it look similar. And of course, your smile can be as big as you want it or as small as you want it. Like that. Now, I've got some extra yarn here, so I'm just going to make it a little bit thicker. I mean, why not make it thicker and just go through, pull that string, there we go. Just like that. All right, so now I've got me a happy heart face. I need to weave in these ends here and tidy it up. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that inside, and I'll tidy that up later. And this is how you make the emoji hat. You can make it in the large or the small, and of course this one is a medium. The emoji happy face with hard eyes.